chilling out. Got a busy day tomorrow.
Yeah. See, here he comes.
Hello.
What is it? You know, what is it about cats and the internet? You know, they have to show up. They have to be here. Get down.
Yeah.
Get down. God. I guess he's just going to sit here and watch.
Yeah.
Okay, so somehow or other we're going to edit this down to. We'll put it up live. Have you guys checked out the YouTube channel at all?
Not since you've been doing interviews live on Google Hangouts on air, no.
Have you listened to any of my skepticality shows? I mean, the ones that are
and Leon Korteweg interviews, and I've been out of date with skepticality since I lost my old phone. So my new phone, I've only just been catching up with that. So I've missed about the last month. So I'm hoping to catch up.
No.
But I didn't.
Well, the last skeptic. I just started seeing the 250. So maybe I'll hear another one then.
Well, I'm thinking about our channel because what I've done is I've taken the skepticality episodes that I've done and I've put video to them. And then I've released them, so they're like only 2 minutes long, and it's just, but they're old ones. I don't have the new ones; they're the old ones. I'm starting with the old, and then working my way forward because Skepticality is about to have its 10th anniversary. Yeah. It's the oldest podcast. It's the oldest skeptic podcast.
A week or two before SGU, wasn't it?
Yeah, a few weeks, and they didn't even know each other.
They didn't know it. Amazing, isn't it?
It worked out really well, and they said that it's almost one of the oldest podcasts completely. It's He started it right when it was capable of doing something of the sort. So
yeah, it's like I think when the SGU with Perry, they were saying that Perry said these iPods have come out and they can do this podcast thing. Why don't we record something?
And they're like, podcast? What's that? Okay, we can do that. Perry was kind of at the beginning of so many things. You know, he wasn't necessarily, from what I understand, a doer himself, but he was a thinker, and he was like, let's do this. Very talented. You know, he was under, how do I say it? You know, when I wrote the Wikipedia page, I really learned that he was just like a visionary, just somebody who really started a lot of important things. And without Perry, we wouldn't have had the SGU. We wouldn't have had the skeptics, their organization. Nest.
The New England Skeptics,
yeah, they probably wouldn't have had it. We probably wouldn't have even had a Stephen Novella. And I mean, you know, without Stephen Novella, we might not have had science-based medicine or as much of that crew that we had in Neurologica, and possibly the conference that's going on in New York right now.
Oh is that this weekend?
Yes, they're having it now. I have been too busy to check the Twitter feed or anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I think that Perry DeAngelis was kind of the what's the word for it?
He was a catalyst for a lot of things, wasn't he?
Catalyst. That's a great word for it. So I'm just, you know, if you can trace things back to a single thing, well, I guess if you trace it back, it goes to Skeptical Inquirer magazine, which is what Perry and then Dungeons and Dragons, because that's what they were into. That and then their parent.
Don't pull that back.
No, pull back. There was these amoebas that crawled out of the ocean. So if we have to start somewhere, I guess you can start with Perry DeAngelis, and I guess with the GSoW project, it really, if we go back to the beginning, it goes beyond Tim Farley and Daniel Loxton, but it goes to, I always link it to Robert Lancaster, who started the Stop Sylvia page, who really got me started in activism. The idea that one person could do something, one person who just had passion for something and didn't need to be an expert in anything. And he inspired me, and I got really hooked into the Stop Sylvia website, and I was just like really into the next story. Oh, there's going to be another story. There's going to be another story, because nobody was doing anything like that.
I don't think I heard about that till after it was really well up and established. But really through Wikipedia, reading Sylvia Brown's Wikipedia page, which obviously, you know.
I
didn't know Sylvia Brown was originally. I was sort of getting into the skeptical movement, and she wasn't a big thing over here. So.
No. Thankfully, you have your own unnamed. We can't name because we don't want to be sued. But so what I want to talk to you guys about, when I was looking back on this last night and I was thinking, oh, Walkiria and Ryan. Oh, I should introduce you guys, right?
Yeah.
I think that might
Do
be
you want to
good.
make clapping noises or anything as well?
Yeah, no, that's all right. I can match
You
it up,
okay?
I think. I think
Yeah.
we'll be able to. I'm getting a lot better at this stuff.
Ooh.
So, hello, everyone. This is Susan Gerbic speaking to you about GSoW, the Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia project. And today I have a major treat. This is a twofer. I have Walkiria and Ryan, and they are speaking to us from England. Where are you guys at?
We're in Bexhill in the south of England, so it's not far from Brighton, you may have heard of, and about 60 miles, 100 kilometres south of London.
And the really cool
On the
part
south
about
coast.
this is you're going to get 3 different accents because I'm in California and I speak Californiese or whatever you want to call it. Not that valley talk, but And then, of course, Ryan's got that obvious accent. Walkiria, she's from, where are you from?
I'm from Mexico.
Well, which part? It's a big country.
Well, yeah, I know. It's more the northern. It's not like the most common and stereotypical part of Mexico. Northern part of Mexico, state of Sonora, it borders Arizona. So I may have an Arizonian accent to my English. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought you were farther in because I remember when you guys were I talked to you last. I think you were on your second honeymoon, and you were in a beach. Well, it seems like you guys have been on your honeymoon for a couple years now, but lucky you. But you were in some cabin or somebody's beach house, and you were.
Oh, okay, yeah, that was Kino Bay. That's a beach which is an hour away from Hermosillo, which is the capital of Sonora, which is where I come from. And that's 3 hours away from the border, going south from the US. So I'm not really that far from the border.
I don't know why I was thinking you were farther in, but it just seemed like, well, I guess because I was thinking of the beach and
yeah,
that kind of thing. But when I was looking when I said I'm going to interview you two guys, I was looking at it and I thought, well, let's talk about the history of GSoW, kind of where we've been, where we're going. And then I looked back and you guys haven't been with a project as long as I thought. For some reason, I felt like you'd started in 2011 or something. But Ryan, you're from August 19th, 2013. And Walkiria, you're from May 23rd, 2013. So you've been here longer than Ryan. I was really surprised.
I haven't even been a year in GSoW. But yeah. Well,
No,
2 years.
2.
Oh,
2 years in May.
It's already 2 years.
May it'll be 2 years, and Ryan will be 2 years in August.
For more than a year. So.
I'm still thinking it's 2014 myself. I'm confused half the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, so tell us a little. Okay, so Walkiria, you get to go first because you are the older GSoW editor. So tell me kind of. So I know how you found us, and I went back and looked at both of your guys' original contact emails to me, which is really funny. But
Shall we turn video? Okay. Do you want to say that again? We might turn video off. It hung for a second.
Probably a good idea. Let me turn off my video here. Not the microphone. Okay, turn camera off. So at this point, everybody's going to have to look at something much more interesting than us talking. So Walkiria, yeah, you joined the GSoW project in May 23rd, 2013, after reading Phil Plate's article on Slate blog about us. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I don't remember who did the editing, but they had done that astronomy book Wikipedia page. And he basically wrote, I love you guys, etc., etc. Well, maybe not that big, but yeah, I've been reading his blog for ages now, and well, he talked about this, and I was reading. Oh yeah, we do Wikipedia, we do this, and really for the last months before that, and maybe even before that. I've always thought about wanting to do something, and in a way, Phil Plait is inspires you to want to do something. But I never really had any idea of how to get into it because, well, I'm from Mexico, and I think Mexico, besides the man with the big sombrero and the cactus and everything, it's also very well known for being a very Catholic country, very religious, even though we do have strict laws that separate state and religion. But it's also because of the culture of the Mayan culture of the Aztecs. It's a very what will you call it?
Mystical?
Mystical, yeah. Mystical culture. It believes a lot in the power of nature and herbs, and which is not that bad when you're not seeing the cure cancer. But that thing kind of makes people believe a lot in homeopathy. That included part of my family. And yeah, that's bad. But I think it makes people more open to that. And well, you have this country with its religious, which is homeopathy adorable, or whatever you want to call that. And there's not much to do really. And this guy Phil Plait always talks about people doing stuff, these conferences, and skeptics in the pub, and there's not much to do, no conferences, no anything. So when he finally said that there's this group that's in your internet and it's internationally based, like you can be anywhere, you just have to edit Wikipedia, and I was like, oh wow, that's cool. And you can go straightly into things that interest you, not only skepticism, but well, I was like, okay, let's help with that. And that was the first thought I had, like, oh, that's cool, I'll help in some way without having to move the country. But then it also was, oh, really, you can edit Wikipedia? And yes, I was that kind of person that didn't know that Wikipedia could be edited by everybody, really, literally, anybody who has an internet connection. And now at least I know how to edit. But yeah, that's how I sent to you. After reading that article, I must have waited 10 minutes before I sent you an email.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, really. I think I didn't even have a connection back there. And then, okay, when am I going to connect it this time? 5 minutes later, I was connected, sending you the email. And I think it was a couple of lines, really, because it was so hurried that I was so excited. And I'm like, can I go in? I don't know how this works.
Yeah, some people, we wear them down. They've
Really?
heard about it for months, if not years, and they finally go, okay, I'm going to join this thing. And it was the same thing with Nix. It was the same thing with Nix in Brazil. He heard about the GSoW. I hadn't even started a project really, and I was at a TAM. I had done a 2-minute interview with Chris Brown, and it was basically saying, I'd like to find some people who speak other languages than English to come and help edit Wikipedia. And he sent me an email immediately saying,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, you're probably overwhelmed with all the emails from everyone that is listening to you today, but I have to be in this project. And I said, oh my gosh, you're the only one I've heard from. But same thing, I guess there wasn't really anything there. So he kind of felt that he needed to, hold on a second. He felt like he needed to write to me. Hold on, I gotta let my cat out, otherwise it's gonna meow really loud. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, that should keep him from jumping up and meowing and all that kind of stuff. I have 2 others, so hopefully they'll stay away, not scratch at the door and want to come in here. The schedule's off. So, Ryan.
Yes. Hi.
What's your excuse?
Well, I edited Wikipedia, I think, as early as 2007. And it was things I knew a little bit about. I, had started at university doing sciencey stuff with physics, and fiber optics and so on. And there were a few areas I knew something about, which I noticed little things that could be improved. And so I noticed you could edit, so I clicked on the links and found out how. I wasn't really very good at sorting my edits in those days, but in those days they were kind of keen to expand Wikipedia as fast as possible, not so tight on the quality, but now it's established, certainly in English and other major languages. It seems that there's a lot more of a focus on the rules, I suppose, and making sure that you cite all your sources and everything else. And I would occasionally dip in and edit things when I noticed things that wanted an edit, but didn't do a heck of a lot really until about 2012, 2013. I'm a bit keen on audio geekery, sadly. Things like audio codecs and things, the things with, types of codecs we're talking on the internet over now. And there were various things. I would look at articles on Wikipedia, and somebody said on a forum I was on, I can't edit this because I'm involved. It would be a conflict of interest. But I've talked on the talk page, and I looked in there and thought, this article's got lots of citations needed. I edited that. And I started looking around at other things. I was listening to some podcasts by that stage. Once I probably only really discovered skeptical podcasts in about 2011, 2012. And I'd always been sort of skeptical, but not really had a name for it or a group, an organization, any sort of organized skepticism. There were no skeptics in the pub that I knew of in this area, wouldn't necessarily have thought of going. And then I sort of read a couple of books. Bad Science by Ben Goldacre is one of them. A friend of mine gave it to me, and I absolutely loved it and passed it on to my
Are you there?
Yeah.
I thought it just cut out for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So I also read Richard Wiseman's book Co-ecology, which was fascinating.
That's excellent.
I found all sorts of little things that sort of I was interested in sort of investing, and I'd heard various things about the tricks that your mind can play on you when you're investing that can lead you to bad decisions. So from that angle, from audio as well, when you're testing these codecs like MP3 and things, and the different encoders to see how good they are, you can fool yourself into thinking you hear a difference when you can't actually hear a difference. And as soon as you randomize them and don't know which one you're looking at, a double-blind trial, all of a sudden you discover that there's less difference than you thought, or none at all. And you actually can't hear that clear discrepancy you could hear between one sound and the original. So all these things led me to thinking about, power of the mind to fool us and skepticism. And I ended up sort of listening to lots of podcasts. The SGU came up very early on when I looked around for what podcasts were available. And then Skepticality was hot on their heels, and I was been listening for about as long as I've been listening to podcasts. And Tim Farley and yourself both joined in probably, 2012, 2013, I imagine.
I was 2013. He was 2012, I think.
Yeah, that's probably right. He was doing Skeptic History mostly then, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. And I started to get interested in his Skeptools blog a little bit. And then you came in, and around about that time, somebody posted, I was following the Merseyside Skeptic Society because I listened to their Skeptics with a K podcast at the time. And somebody posted, we've got I think it was Michael Marshall actually, he posted that we've got a new Wikipedia page. And I looked at it and I thought, this is great. Very, very thorough page, well cited, looks really good. And then I looked on the talk page and it said, this has been nominated for a good article. Would you like to review it? And I saw no one else volunteering. So I thought, I'll click on the link to how you review it, and found out how, and I went through and reviewed it. And as it turned out, I didn't know at the time, it was actually part of the GSoW project. And Bill was the contributor, I believe, Mr. Bill. And he had authored the page, done really good citations. And at the time, I happened to also be looking around YouTube, and the JREF posted a video, and that was your talk at TAM 2012, I guess, 2013 maybe.
Was I wearing a silly hat?
You're wearing the silly hat, yes.
Okay, that was just at the JREF office.
JREF office, was it? Yeah. Okay. It was I wasn't sure. Yeah, and so I just thought this is really brilliant. You actually, all this problem with sort of confronting people goes away when you have GSoW, because people are doing their own research. They're open to ideas. They're open to persuasion. Without it, they can see what makes sense to them. If they have all the facts presented fairly with a genuine, true balance of what's considered good facts against what's considered not so good facts or downright pseudoscience, people can make up their own minds on things like homeopathy or vaccines or whatever. And I know with vaccines, I'm very excited about the vaccine project that we're involved with now on GSoW. So
wow, if nobody listens to this interview but me, I'm really enjoying this. I didn't know any of this. This is fantastic. I love knowing what it was that was your mindset and how you guys kind of just evolved and fell into my lap. This is really cool.
Well, I put the Merseyside Skeptics page and I did the review. I thought, I think I could get interested in this. Oh, it must be this Wiki Project Skepticism it says it's part of. So I clicked on that and joined it, and I thought, this isn't really that active. And then I thought, well, hang on, this is Susan Gerbic. I'll look her up. So I looked you up, and I think, between that and the video I'd just seen as well, it all basically persuaded me I've got to get into this project. I think I'd only recently joined Facebook as well, so that was an easy way of getting in touch. I didn't really know what I was doing on Facebook, but so I, in a swirl of things, I started to sort of get more interested in editing and skepticism parts of editing, and I realized it was very powerful because you actually can reach people when they're receptive, and you can just, if you change a few minds, you may never know you've changed them, but I think you might save lives by keeping people who have, say, a cancer or something. You know all about that, Susan.
Oh yeah. Too well.
Them actually having genuine medicine, okay, they can take alternatives as well as a supplement, and it probably won't do them any harm unless it's something herbal like that does have a pharmacological effect, like St. John's wort or something. But generally speaking, if you can keep people believing in proper scientifically tested medicine, you can hopefully save lives. And at the same time, I think I'd been reading Tim's What's the Harm blog, Tim Farley's, and that was convincing me that there were many thousands of people who were being killed by belief in alternative medicine.
Wow. Yeah, wow. Okay, so to move on, because that was really great. We're done now. No?
Okay.
Bye. Gosh, I don't know how I'm going to cut any of this out. Well, we'll keep up the longer interview for people who are curious, and the people who are kind of joining the project or not quite sure if they join the project, I'm steering them to these interviews, the longer interviews, so that they can hear from you guys exactly that passion that you have, the reasons for doing this. I talked to Janice, and she kind of made a good plea about what training's like a little bit, and she kind of gave a good idea of what that's all about. So, I don't really want to go there with you guys because that's something we've kind of covered. And besides, you two, I didn't really train. When we started out with GSoW, when you guys joined, we were on Facebook in a private Facebook group. We didn't really know what we were doing. We were just kind of, it was pretty non-structured, and a lot of people who joined probably bailed on us because we weren't formally we were just kind of like, go and edit, here, let me help you, but it wasn't.
Yes,
the one thing it did have, which I do find a great part of the project, it's ancillary to the aim, but is the social aspect as well, though, of the like-minded people you can collaborate with and ask for ideas. And
right, because we're not in the same location. We can hang out.
Yeah.
But I think what happened back then is that we only had the social aspect, and we didn't have the training aspect. And I think me being so noob about everything, I pushed the training, when I got in, there were people like, oh, we're starting to lose people because they don't know what to do and stuff. I was like, well, really, that's me. That's me not knowing anything. Just go and see how you're doing and maybe check this pages and blah, blah. I did have a lot of help, but I did learn about Wikipedia by going into and see what the hell I had to do. What if I typed something, if it was a totally different monster that I never thought existed. And I started doing it from not knowing anything and falling a lot and getting up and stuff like that. So that's why I do remember when you started giving, oh, we should have a training, have it more structured. I was like, yes, yes, please, please, because I don't know anything.
And you
Really.
and you never did actually go through that training process because you were already
No,
you
I've
you were
never
more
gone
like
to a
me.
training process.
Yeah, I was the exact same way. I went through. I learned how to edit Wikipedia trial and error, and I'm not a very tech kind of person, so I really failed most of the time, and and I'm really surprised that so many people stayed with the project through that time, because like I say, we didn't really know what we were doing, but it was a social. And on Wikipedia itself, I mean, if you were a normal Wikipedia editor, they don't have the social bonding at all. There's yeah. Ryan, mention what you were talking about, that group thing you were talking about. You first went to on Wikipedia. And what that was.
There are various wiki projects on Wikipedia, and there's one called Wiki Project Skepticism, which it turns out just before I went there had actually turned its name from rational skepticism into just skepticism. So luckily I found it. I don't think I necessarily would have done before. And they occasionally try to reorganize projects, because there are others that, like Pseudoscience project, was a very quiet project, so they rolled it into skepticism and some other areas that impinge a little bit on similar areas, fringe theories and so on. Some of those have been rolled in to other areas, all lumped together to try and make the project come alive and have enough participants. But of course, it's hard to get started in editing Wikipedia and follow the rules, because essentially you have to make edits, and then somebody says, oh, I've removed this edit or reverted it because you violated rule WP:/COI, or, well, not COI. I've never violated that one, conflict of interest, that is. But BLP, biography of living persons, or RS, reliable sources. So if you're not persistent, if you're not the kind of person who will think, ooh, interesting, I wonder what that means, and you click on the link and then read and read and read, you're not going to find out how you should be editing. So the training process is hugely important and beneficial. Really, I think Wikipedia is lacking in ways to get new editors to basically to train them up, and any mentoring and encouragement is very difficult to come by. There are special events they will put on in various towns and cities. I know there's some, regularly in London and Manchester and places over here, and I think I've seen things when I've been traveling that have said about other ones in other parts of the world. But the training at GSoW, I think, is considerably better, and also the techniques you've got, like your special ideas about reverse edits. You will find the sources and then see, I've got this great source which mentions so many things about topic X. Where can I insert this as a citation for the article, and maybe you have quotes from it? And I think that's a brilliant tactic, because it improves Wikipedia as a whole, and actually it also gives a certain visibility to good, reliable sources that Wikipedia can use that have a good skeptical bent, like various skeptical magazines that you get in the US especially. I can't remember the names of them now.
Skeptical Inquirer magazine, Skeptic magazine.
Skeptic magazine, Skeptical Inquirer magazine. I often forget which ones are associated with which podcasts and things. But,
well, that's okay. Now, one of the criticisms we were getting is that people would say, oh, you don't need to join this GSoW project. You should join, like you said, the Wikipedia groups that are focused on, changing the exact same kind of pages that GSoW is interested in. But doing it through Wikipedia itself. And when I first started editing Wikipedia, that's where I went. I wanted to join a project because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I found that same one that you're talking about. And I looked at that page and I said, what the hell? It was so perfectly organized. I mean, they had like, start with this edit. I mean, start with this page. This one's ranked at high. This one's medium. This one's low. This one's at mid range. And it was so, it looked like somebody who had, major OCD had arranged this page, this project page. And I had no idea how to edit that page. I didn't understand the instructions. I didn't understand any of that code stuff that they were talking about, those things. I'm not a person who reads instructions well. I, tend to do it myself. And if it's written instructions, I kind of go, oh no. And I looked at the list. It said, sign up here, put your name on this list if you're interested in editing, and put down your pages that the kind of things you're interested in editing. And I looked at it, and there were people on there at the bottom of the list where I had put my name that, they hadn't been back on the page in months. There was almost no activity whatsoever. And I said, oh no, I put my name there and I waited around, I went and did editing and went on with my life. And I came back and nobody had contacted me. I checked back in and nobody had put their name after mine. It had still been months. And I said, this is dormant. This is just silly. And on Wikipedia, editors, they generally are anonymous. They usually don't use their real names, and you're not really supposed to contact each other. Very rarely people would email each other. You had to opt into something to say it's okay to email me. They didn't know who they were. It was just so impersonal. And I understand that Wikipedia attracts that kind of personality. Anybody who's willing to go through all those hoops is going to be a type of person who's probably not really social, and probably very text-based. They're very, reading kind of instruction kind of stuff, and they're very technical minded. So it attracts a certain type of person, which is not me. So I think you're 100% right that Wikipedia is missing that. Even if you had a class on teaching how to edit, an hour or two of teaching, it's not enough. And you need to have that social. At least I feel I have to have the social. I know Walkiria needs to have that social.
Yeah.
Okay, so we should probably move on because we'll talk that to death. So the other things I want to talk about. So back in the day, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We decided we wanted to do a forum. Who wants to talk about that?
Oh, the forum.
You go first before I did. I just helped a little with the help.
Yeah. I think I was one of the most ardent. Damn it, forgot. See, that's what happens when you have Spanish and English in your head. One of the most ardent contrarians of that project. I didn't want to go to the forum. I loved Facebook. Why should we move away from this that I just came in a month ago? Why are you doing this to me? And just because of that, I went and helped to do the forum because
you were sent. What are you talking about? Went? I sent you the people who were most hostile to it. I said you have to go help.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go into it because if I don't like this thing and right out of the bat I don't like it, period, and I'm not involved, I won't ever like it, and I won't end up doing anything. So I ended up going and helping in that long away time when, who was it? It was Julie and Bill would help a little bit, and me, and then we dragged Ryan into it because he kind of said he knew something about forums. Who else helped a lot with the forum? Nathan. And
Fred Green.
Oh yeah, Fred. Oh, Fred was wonderful. And it was okay. Let's do this. Nah, it's not gonna work. And erase that. And let's do this again. And like you said, we didn't know what we were doing, and it definitely was the right move. We wouldn't have been able to do the training without the forum. it would have stayed in what it was back then, in only the social aspect. Only the people who really knew how to edit Wikipedia, the other ones would have left like they were doing. And that's it. We wouldn't have been able to grow this much. And and it like I didn't think that before, but it was definitely a good idea. and it's been trial and error, but we're getting there. And now at least we don't have 1,000 Facebook groups, one for each language.
Oh my God, that was crazy.
I don't know how you could manage it. It was ridiculous.
I'm just got that personality that just, I don't know what I do. I put on way too much on my plate, and I just manage it somehow. I have no other life, I guess. But I'm glad that's gone, boy.
Yeah, definitely. And it's better because, oh, I have a problem here, and then you just can tag somebody from the English group, somebody, oh, I saw something in the German group that they were doing about this topic. Oh, let's go see. Oh, yeah, this guy is doing this and this and blah, blah. And it helps. And I'm doing the Spanish ones, and I'm learning from the German or from Crazy Leon, who does everything, or from the English group, or you find out that there's actually an article about something in another group, which you wouldn't have done it otherwise. So the collaboration is 100 times what it used to be, I think, really.
Yeah,
and it's not only the same people.
Right. Let me explain really quick to people who don't know what we're talking about. Back when we started, we were just a group of people in a private Facebook chat, little group. And there was, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 of us or something like that. And it was all English. And then we started adding people who were non-English speakers. Well, I mean, who spoke a language other than English. And we had little groups. We'd have the Spanish Facebook private group. We had the Dutch private group. We had the Swedish. We had the Japanese with nobody in it but one person. And we had these private groups, and they couldn't link to each other. So the people couldn't talk to each other. And then I had another page that was called World. And that one had everybody that was in the non-English group in it. So we probably, like you said, there was probably 20 different private Facebook groups. I and maybe 2 other people were in all of the groups. And then like you would be in World, and you would also be in Spanish. But you couldn't talk to German.
And in English.
Yeah, and it was just, and you're trying to manage these conversations, and then your threads, you're having to talk about a page that you're working on. And then it would drop down in the Facebook feed like Facebook does. And you're like, you can't search for it. You're like, it's been a month and I want to go back and talk about something. And you're scrolling and you're scrolling and it's like, it was fine when there was, 6 or 7 of us. But when it got to be like 20 and 30 people, you just can't manage a group with that many people trying to talk and trying to edit and upload files. And so when we went to the forum, what we did is, and I really wasn't involved in it as much. I mean, I just come in every once in a while because I don't know anything about forums. And Julie was really the driving force behind it. And she was brand new to the GSoW project. She had only been like with us a few weeks, and she said, we were talking about t-shirt design and stuff. She goes, well, why don't you guys just do it instead of talking about it? And she just went over and she started doing it. And then we said something about forums, and well, let's do it. What's wrong with you people? Julie was the driving force behind that. And once you guys went in and started working on this forum, you spent months doing it. We designed it so that there's a training area, and the people who are in training can't see the rest of the forum, most of the forum, because we felt that, well, first, we didn't want to be infiltrated with some person who came in and started deleting files or something. We were a little worried about it at the time. And also a brand new person, it's just overwhelming. So then we decided, and so what we did is we have the training area. We have like a general area with a chat room, and we can talk about our pets and stuff like that, which is unlike, it really helps the social aspect. We have tips and things like that. And then we have an area that each team has a name, Like we have the Spanish group, we have the German group, we have the Dutch group, we have the Portuguese group, and so on. And inside that group, there's threads, and it's most of the conversations done in that language. And then we still link together everywhere else. So we're one big group, something like that. So
Yeah.
now let me mention really quickly that not only are you both longtime editors and members of GSoW, but you're both team leaders. So
Yep.
Ryan is the team leader with Team Curie, with
One of
Christine.
three. Yeah.
And then Walkiria runs the Spanish group.
Yeah. And I don't have another person. Yeah, I know.
The whole team, that massive Spanish team. We keep bringing you Spanish editors, but for some reason, they kind of drift off, or they go into doing other things. Because I train them in English if I can, so they kind of get hooked into English a little bit.
But even then, they don't do that much in English either. But I say that how the exactly how my Spanish team behaves in the forum is how Spanish-speaking people behave in the real world, because you can get them excited and they start doing stuff and everything, and then real life creeps in and they totally leave the project. I'm not saying, okay, don't go work and leave your families and blah blah, but there's not a real focus. And I've basically been butting my head with this for the last year. Was it for the last year and a half that I've been a Spanish team leader?
Well,
So I used to have a good group, at least at some moment. I think they were like 15 people in my group.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have 2 people who really work, and me.
And one's in Australia.
Oh yeah, exactly. One's in Australia. I'm in the UK, and
It's another one in the UK, isn't there?
yes, nobody's actually in Latin America or Hispanic America or whatever.
Now,
And
anybody listening, hopefully you'll come in and prove Walkiria wrong.
prove
We
me
want you to
wrong.
come and prove her wrong.
Yes, I think that's my challenge. A couple of years ago, around 2011, 2012. If you go from 2012 on, the skeptic movement looks like it basically died in any Spanish-speaking country, because you can't find updated forums or updated pages or anything. Like everybody would tell me, oh yeah, there's this group and that group, and I would go to the group and the last posting 2011, 2012. Etc., etc. And I'm like, what's happening here? And I started contacting all these people, and for various reasons, they just couldn't be that involved into it. There were pages, entire pages, magazines, podcasts, groups that just died down from then on. Well, people would say, well, something happened in 2012. Maybe they all became believers. I don't know.
The world ended.
Yeah.
It was that Mayan thing.
Yeah.
End of the world.
But yeah, and it's incredible. I started contacting people, and it was like, yeah, but I can't. They, in a way, and it's funny that I say this just as James Randi resigned. I think they need somebody to guide them, which is weird because the Australian skeptics, didn't really need somebody to guide them. I don't think the UK really needed somebody.
They were originally inspired by Dick Smith in Australia, as far as I know.
But it wasn't like a big force.
It wasn't really, no, not like a big James Randi force, as far as I know.
And I think, I don't know if it comes back to our belief roots or anything, but there has to be somebody big who starts moving these people. Like, there's somebody, in a way I can say that about me too. I needed somebody to make me do something, and that's you for me. So you're my god, Susan. And
okay.
And yeah, and I think that's what these people really need. I have people waiting, and I haven't been able to start moving them. Like, there are groups that want to do stuff but need people to tell them, okay, we're gonna do this and we're gonna start now and I'm gonna tell you how we're gonna do it, which is kind of tiring sometimes. But if, well, somebody has to do it, it looks like it's gonna be me. And oh yeah, and the girl from Australia.
And you know what's funny, because I thought Spanish was going to be the biggest team, because I live in Salinas, California, and almost everybody in my town speaks Spanish. And so
Yes.
I speak Spanish. That's just the way it is. I've taken classes, which I've flunked most of the time, but just in the fact that I'm in retail, I have to speak Spanish. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I know when I go on vacation and I'm away from anywhere that people are speaking Spanish, I feel a little like depressed, a little, and I finally realized what it is that I just feel like I'm not home because the culture isn't there. And if I go somewhere where there are Spanish speakers around, you just hear it as you're walking or whatever, I feel comfortable. I feel like I'm with my people, kind of. I guess that just sounds really stupid, but to me, Spanish is always around because I've always lived here and I've always had Spanish, my neighbors next door or the person who's shopping over there, you always have it. The music's in the background somewhere. And so I just assumed that the biggest language that we would have, the biggest, strongest team would be Spanish. And so totally. And Skeptical Inquirer magazine also had a Spanish language. It was called magazine called Pensar, which means to think.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. That was back then, also around 2011.
Yes, and it ended about 2011. I think it had a run for about 3 years, and they couldn't find a good following. They couldn't keep it active. And then they were going to do a World Congress in Buenos Aires. Was it Buenos Aires?
Oh yeah.
And I was so excited about that. I was like, I've got to get to Buenos Aires. I want to be there. And that fell apart too. There's no organized skeptic groups in any Spanish-speaking countries that I know of. If you're there, please contact us. I know that we have one of our editors who's involved with the Skeptics in the Pub in Spain. I get that in Madrid. I get that notification every so often that I've been invited to a Skeptics in the Pub event in Madrid. I'd love to go, but I'm in California. That's a little far. But I'm not seeing anything. No podcasts. I can't find anything. There's a magazine. There's one group. It's called what is that? The Flying Teapot. How do you say it in Spanish? ¿Cómo se dice en español?
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, I hear you now. Oh yeah, the Flying Teapot in Spanish.
The Flying Teapot?
Yeah, it's called the Blue.
I only know Dutch one.
Or no, you know what? It's Portuguese. I'm so sorry. It's Portuguese. So there are some Portuguese groups, but they're not plentiful. There's certainly no podcasts.
Yeah, no, it's kind of ridiculous to think how many countries speak Spanish and there's no blogs. Well, there are a couple of blogs. There's no magazines. There's no podcasts.
No meetups.
Nothing. And everybody who, if you're a Spanish speaker, you're hearing podcasts in English. That's what you're doing.
So we're reaching an audience of English speakers only. So that's not what we want. We want.
Exactly.
And you're right. I think we need to send James Randi to Mexico somewhere and tour. But
maybe I'll convince him and tell him, okay, you're only touring the beaches, so you're actually kind of going into retirement, but not.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. It's going to take either a moment where the Spanish-speaking world wakes up and says, "Oh no, we're not going to go and let this happen to us anymore." Something's going to happen, some crisis that's going to make them wake up, or it's going to take, like you say, a powerful personality that is going to be able to go in and say, "All right, that's it. Here's our Skeptics in the Pubs. I'm going to get that organized. Okay, now we're going to do conferences. Okay, here's the podcasts we're going to put out, and we're going to start doing this magazine. And I want bloggers. I need 20 bloggers now." I would love to do that. but my Spanish isn't that good, and I don't think anybody would listen to me. But it would be, I would be the type that would organize that and say, hey, all right,
Yeah,
so who's going to do the podcast now? All right, come on, you guys. But I mean, we've got a Hungarian team that's doing more than the Spanish team.
yeah.
I mean, they have conferences. They've had conferences for 20 years, I believe.
Yeah, but
Don't quote me on that.
Not to belittle them or anything, but I think Europe in general is a little bit more receptive to this kind of things.
You're right.
And you really have to take in account Latin America is religious. It's very religious, and it's not openly atheist, even if there are a lot of atheists in Latin America. And I think it's more that we don't have openly skeptic people. There must be tons. I can't believe that Latin America doesn't have any skeptics, but they're not openly skeptic. They're even me in some way, but that was when I was a teenager. Yeah, you kind of take into account what people will think if you're saying, okay, I'm a skeptic. I don't believe in your bullshit. I don't believe in homeopathy, and show me the proof. And it's not. It's. I think we're in our infancy, really, in skepticism, and we need to push it. Push it like crazy.
Yeah, let's push it. I'm a pusher. That's what I'm always told. So I'm a pusher. So, so let's talk about what's going on with Curie.
I have to say I've been a little bit quiet. We've just really got settled in living here in England, the two of us, and we've just started to set aside Wednesday nights and some Saturday to skepticism. And occasionally Wednesday night means going to Skeptics in the pub in Eastbourne, which is a nearby town where we have some very interesting speakers. Walkiria is actually doing a page for Curie, essentially, for one of the speakers we had there, who's Nessa Carey, who writes amazing books about epigenetics and junk DNA. There's a new one coming out, and she's going to be returning to Eastbourne to talk again very soon on junk DNA. So we're excited about that. Her Wikipedia page was a stub with no photograph, so we took a photograph of her at the pub. I've been a little bit slow in actually doing large pages lately. I've started a page on Friends of Science in Medicine, the Australian organisation that basically supports science-based medicine against all the people who want to get chiropractic taught in their universities and things. I was very excited about that. Unfortunately, at that time we were getting married and all sorts of things, and had to ask someone else on our team to do that. And Christine was very kind to step in and finish that page for me. So I've generally been doing little bits and pieces. We've got quite a few people quite keen on the vaccination project. So we're wanting to improve pages that relate to either the anti-vaccine movement and finding good sources that present the counter view that vaccines actually do work, and there's mountains of evidence for that. And we have various things about the people like Paul Offit and people like that who are involved in the vaccine movement. So I can't always remember which ones are Team Curie and which ones are Team Sagan. But we are free to wander around the forums and get involved in all sorts of things. I'm not 100% sure. I could do some research now if you want.
No, I've got it down. I know who's on your team.
The only thing I do remember, because I'm in that team too, is that Janice is going nuts with anything and everything, and that she makes me feel like I'm not doing anything. So that's why I started doing something.
Yes.
Well,
So
she's out of your team now. She's gone. I took her out last night.
Oh yeah, you took her out. Oh,
she is gone. So Janice is gone. She is now with Greg Nielsen as of last night on Team Rydberg. and I have no idea if I'm pronouncing it right. It's
Rydberg.
Rydberg. Team Rydberg, and they have one person in their group, and that's Lauren Carr, who just finished the Carol Travis page yesterday. Carol Travis.
Yeah.
Well, I think
she finished that page yesterday. So we're going to have a third English editing team.
Yay.
And watch out. I tell you, this is going to be something else. We're going to get some competition going. You guys are going to be.
Well, I really need to step up my game in actual editing.
Yeah.
Getting some serious.
I think that you guys are going to have to. You're going to say, "Oh, we can't let this team that's brand new that only has, 3 people in it. We can't have them kicking our butt."
Well,
and I think that's going to happen.
You already changed me against the Hungarians, so I'm feeling bad enough for that.
Oh yeah, the Hungarians. Yeah. Andreas is going to be all over you. What's
and not even that. Within my own group, in the Spanish group, Monica left me like for a year, and because she was there when I came in, and she was like the one, wow, I know a lot of stuff, and I have edited stuff, and I'm like, woohoo, you're gonna help me. And then she left us for a year. And she just came back with all the energy that I don't have, and she's done a lot of translations, and it's wonderful.
What is it that you just finished Weissman's page, didn't you?
Weissman's, the English portion, who helped me with that one?
Richard Weissman, I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember who helped me with that one because I didn't end up finishing it. Yeah, it was Eric. And I'm translating the Spanish version, and I'm with the Nessa Carey page, which I thought I wasn't going to have enough material, but now I have a lot to read about. And
there's so much to do, you know?
Yeah, really. And it was funny with the Nessa Carey page was we went to the Skeptics in the Pub, and I really didn't know what epigenetics was about or anything, so she started speaking about it. And in the break before the answering questions and answers, I was like, "Does she even have a Wikipedia page?" Went in, and it basically says her name, where she studied, and where she's working, and no picture, no anything. And I'm like, why hasn't this thing been deleted? I haven't even noticed since when it's been a stub. Somebody just was, okay, I'll put this info there. Like, really? And at the end of everything, we went to talk to her, and of course, like everybody who doesn't like their Wikipedia page, she said, oh yeah, I've been meaning, I was just about to go and start and move something around because there's nothing there. Like, no. You can't do anything about it. We'll do something about it.
And you mentioned Eric. So to everybody who's listening, it's Eric Heiss, and he lives in Mexico. And he has a master's in mathematics. He's currently in college, from what I understand. Is that right?
Or I think he has last year's of uni or something.
And Eric is, and you get the last name Heiss, Hess. It's German because he's German.
Isn't that Hess?
Hess? Oh yeah, Eric Hess. Sorry, everybody. Eric Hess. He lives in Mexico, and he has a master's in mathematics, and he also speaks German. Yes. So he's been working in the German group as well as the English group, I guess. I haven't seen much of him in the English group.
No, I think he's done more with the Germans and the Spanish one.
Yeah, he's on Team Curie also, but I haven't seen him do anything in there. And that's a nice thing about it is we have many people who are multilingual. I think Leon just grabs everybody and makes them work in the and the German and the Hungarian and the Dutch and it's like, hey, come on, we're going to translate this to Hungarian now. Come on, help us out. And the poor Spanish group is like, oh, okay. Well, we're you guys are too nice. I think that's what it is.
We get a lot of power from, I think, the fact that there are a lot of people who speak at least 2 languages, and we can usually get an intermediate language and a bit of Google Translate. And it helps that we can have a well-structured page with a lot of good sources cited that you can then translate, and you can then expand the reach of a good skeptical message on Wikipedia a lot further with relatively modest effort. And I think Eric is probably one of these people who's realized I can contribute a lot by translating rather than creating new pages in English, I can translate pages into Spanish, maybe German as well. And I think he's, you know, more power to him. I think he's probably reaching a large number of people that way and actually helping to change people's minds
around the world. Yeah, and
Exactly.
it's easier to translate than it is to write a page.
Oh, far easier to translate than to write one.
But what you're translating needs to have, whatever you're going to translate needs to be something that's well written. So, you know, it's not just as simple as going in and translating something. What we do is, well, okay, so when I started what I would call the World Project at the time, I called it the World Project because we involved other languages other than English, is that I said, okay, first we're going to take a well-written English page and we're going to translate it into many languages. And we started with the Jerry Andrus page because I created the Jerry Andrus page as a rewrite, and I felt that he was the person that we should start with for a lot of reasons that I've listed. And so once we had the Jerry Andrus page done, then people could translate it, and it was like a starting point. But my goal has always been to not just translate things, but I wanted things created in that language that were pertinent to that language. So, like in Korea, they have a phenomenon called Korean fan death. And that's nothing in any other part of the world. But in Korea, it is a thing. People feel like they're going to die if the fan is left on in the room. I kid you not, look it up on Wikipedia. It's called Korean fan death. Brian Dunning did an episode on it with Skeptoid. And I was just like, what? They have, if you go to Korea, all the fans have timers on them. You can't buy a fan without a timer because they believe that if you leave an elderly, feeble person in a room, they will die if the fan is on. You guys haven't heard of this?
No.
I wanted, okay, now you're going to have to go to Wikipedia and check it out. So I wanted pages that were made for that culture or that language, right? That's where my goal has been. Like the Dutch team has taken this on in spades, and they've gone through the Dutch spokespeople and made pages for the Dutch spokespeople and did all the research there. And then they're translating it to English because I don't want us to be English only. It's, you know, obviously English is the biggest group, but we really need to get the message out to people to read that are, you know, something they might be interested in. Portuguese has done a few of these too. So the page has to be written in the native language really, really well first, and then they can translate it. That's kind of the goal.
It also makes it easier for the translator to do it.
Right. And our forum makes it even easier because if you are taking a page from a German language, let's say it was first in German, you could go and ask a German editor, wait a minute, now what does this mean? How am I going to translate this? But you can't do that on Wikipedia normally because there's no, in normal Wikipedia, the languages are all, how do you say it? They're not connected. You have to almost sign out to go to some extent to
to edit. And also there are, even if there are a lot of linked pages, they are not well linked. I've found that a lot. I sometimes use Wikipedia as a translator for some words. And first I found out that some of them are not translated, and then when I do the search in Spanish, they are. So they aren't really linked, or somebody doesn't know that this page, which has a weird name in Spanish, should be linked with this other page that has another name that doesn't have anything to do with this name, but they're talking about the same thing. And I think that's not easy unless you're a person who really understands both languages and who would know that one thing and the other thing are the same, even if they don't sound like they're the same. So
that's an interesting point.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you say, you need somebody, if there's a German here explaining to you, oh, this means this and this, and we say it to mean this. You're like, oh, okay, so it's really this. And yeah, so it really helps you in that way to realize what you're writing about or what you're reading about or translating about. And it's the cooperation that helps you. And also we have some people in the forum that they really know how to find stuff. I don't know how they do it. I once thought I was really good at googling stuff and finding stuff, but no, I'm nowhere near them finding citations for everything, everywhere.
Well,
And
some of the people have access to college databases and so on. I mean, and
yeah,
Janice's
Mm.
boyfriend is a librarian, so
so
who
that's good.
who she gives him she. I think he should just join the team, to be honest with you. But he she gives him a name. Somebody on training or anywhere will say, you know, I'm having problems with such and such. And the next thing you know, she's got this big old list of try all these
Yes,
citations. You're like, okay.
exactly. And
They
I
get
feel
access to
really
things that a
ashamed.
lot of people don't.
Yeah, I feel really ashamed when I see it. I was like, okay, I don't know how to Google stuff then, or I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But
They're
then,
going beyond. And that's
yes,
another benefit of our forum is that, you know, you can have somebody just pop in and just say, here you go.
mhm, yeah,
And a lot of times we'll say, hey, you know, I heard it on this podcast, or I heard sometimes like you're working on a page, let's say like for Ripley's Believe It or Not, and
hmm,
you're Googling Ripley's Believe It or Not, and you're looking for citations for it, but you know, things aren't popping up. What might pop up is an interview about by somebody who works for Ripley's Believe It or Not. That interview might pop up somewhere, but you didn't know the person's name to look for, you
exactly,
know. So there's so many things that we can do. So
yeah,
okay, let's
mhm,
go on because I want to make
yes.
sure I get a little bit more pick you guys' brains. So what do you think? What do you see the where? Okay, how should I say this? Where do you guys see this going? Who wants to start?
Hmm. I have a finger pointing in my direction.
I can't see that. I'm skeptical.
Wikipedia, the project, I would hope it will grow and encompass a lot more languages. And I think there are various people who are discovering sort of rationalist worldview and the failures of the human perception, and you know how we think things work naturally, and all the things that sort of Carl Sagan and people started pointing out some time ago, and psychologists had been discovering before that. Um, but so I can imagine there is an increasing um, trend in people following skepticism. As more people get smartphones, they'll be able to access more information, and they'll be able to listen to podcasts that perhaps they didn't have an iPod in the past. And you know, more people are getting involved and perhaps starting to discover things. So I can imagine we'll get more people joining GSoW, and perhaps if we can continue to demonstrate that we can train people in a friendly environment where they don't have to go through all the hoops that and fall at the hurdles you fall at when you're trying to learn it through Wikipedia's own mechanisms, I can well imagine that we may end up attracting people who'd be interested in changing the world from their sofa or from their armchair.
Like you say, what is it? Armchair skepticism?
Hmm.
Yes.
That's you know, editing
If they don't
Wikipedia,
want to
making the
move, yeah, if they don't want to move from their armchair, they want to stay in their computers and be happy. Well, at least move your
Mm.
fingers, do a little bit of Wikipedia editing.
Yeah, you don't have
in
to
the
confront
social
people.
Yeah, yeah. If they don't want to confront people, they don't have to go into the controversial topics like I have been running away from those ones. But it's, I think that people don't realize how, not everybody realizes how important Wikipedia is. I think they know it, but they haven't got it in their heads. So everybody goes there. Everybody has to realize Wikipedia is the answer for most of the non believers. And maybe not even the non believers. everybody keeps saying, don't preach to the choir, but they don't do it. They keep preaching to the choir. They keep trying to also try to convert, in a way, hardcore believers. You don't need to go to that side, and you don't need to go to the ones that already believe in the same stuff that you do. You need to go to the middle ones, the ones that are not extremists, the ones that are calm and rational and need somebody to tell them, look, this is how the things are. I'm not telling you to be extremist or anything. I'm just giving you info and you can decide. The people who really don't know exactly what their opinion about something is.
Mhm.
So, and Wikipedia is that form of nudging. It's not pushing you, it's not bullying you, it's not shouting at you. It's just look at this information, and you make form your own idea of what you believe in or what you think this is.
And all the rules of Wikipedia, like the fringe theory rules and the undue balance rules, which Tim Farley pointed out and you've run with, Susan, they really protect the articles. If you get good citations and you can demonstrate that something is scientifically highly dubious, you can state that fact and it can't be removed. And fortunately for us as well, a huge number of Wikipedia editors who've gone through the hard way through Wikipedia, learning to edit, there are a huge number of people who really have absorbed those rules and they're very skeptical. And in fact, most of the controversial topics we've ever noticed where people have thought it might be us, and it usually hasn't been GSoW. It's just a load of regular Wikipedia editors who are very keen and enthusiastic and follow the rules. They may even not know they're skeptics, but they're following the rules that basically have a good skeptical foundation. And there are some people on there who have said, I am a skeptic, but we know they're not in GSoW. And I think they've got our backs as well.
Yeah, they've got our backs and we've got their backs, and I think it's a perfect world in that way.
Yeah, I mean, Wikipedia is a very nice view of the world in a way, because you could see there's a heck of a lot of people with good sound opinions and a good sound grasp of what really means evidence, and the fact that you can't allow falsehoods to sit on Wikipedia pages unchallenged.
Well said, both of you guys. So before I conclude this, because I've got to have my breakfast and get to work, just now, this is the time I would normally be waking up.
We're sorry.
Hey, that's fine with me. I'm going to go to work with a new bounce in my step. I should start this off every morning, at least talking to somebody about. I just feel like, hey, everything that I've been doing, there's people out there who believe the same, and they're passionate, and I need to have my. I mean, I know I'm a bundle of energy, but I have to have my flames stoked once in a while as well, because I just, I'm here by myself with my cats and my son, and I have to feel like I'm making a difference. That's the thing about Wikipedia, is you don't know. You know people are reading the page. You don't know how many. I mean, you know how many, but you don't know how much time they spend on the page. You don't know if you've influenced them. You will never know. And you go, well, what am I doing? I'm spending, 40 hours a week or more on this project. Is it making a difference? Am I changing anybody's lives? Am I just hurting cats? What am I, what the hell am I doing? This is insane. We're trying to change. We're trying to rewrite Wikipedia in all languages on scientific skepticism and science topics. I mean, that's Susan. What the hell are you thinking? This is stupid. But we're doing it.
You could say the same thing about Wikipedia in general. Who the hell thought about an encyclopedia in internet and edited by normal people? What? So, really.
Seriously.
Exactly.
That's insane. What were you thinking?
It is.
But it did. It worked.
It did. It works, and it works perfectly. So even if you say, okay, nobody's going to read this page, maybe I'm not really doing anything for the world, but it changed you. Like I've maybe I haven't completed that much pages, but I've edited I've been editing some of them, checking for grammar and stuff. And you read about these people that you wouldn't have read otherwise. About these people who are doing incredible stuff all around the world, or really weird beliefs that are happening somewhere else, like witchcraft and child killing in Africa, which was ridiculous for me the time I read about it. And people I would never know existed. And now I know. And even if that doesn't matter to anybody else, I've already learned something and I'm a better person for it. And if I only get that from being in GSoW, only that would help, I think. That makes me a little bit more educated and have a worldview. So
I sure have expanded my worldview. I have
yeah.
so much more respect for the other languages. I really hadn't thought about it before, and now I'm just so inspired, and I'm reading pages about people like the Dutch team that are skeptics that are just like me and other places, and I'm totally inspired by their stories. And Leo Igwe, people in Africa. Oh
Oh
my
yeah,
gosh,
yeah.
what that it's like.
Yeah, he's a hero.
Oh God, these people are out there doing some work that is like endangering their lives. I mean, they could be killed, and like in Leo's case, he's been beat up.
Yes.
And here I am with my cats in front of my computer,
Mhm.
happily editing away. And the least I can do is try to get his story out there in places where it can be read by other people and hopefully inspire other people, because obviously I don't want to go out there and get beat up. I'm not
Yeah.
going to Africa
No.
try to stop this witchcraft stuff. No, but
And
I can do what I can do.
even not thinking about that, I didn't even know there were people who believed that they were wizard children and you had to kill them.
Hmm.
It opens your eyes. It really opens your eyes, and it I think it really gives you that nudge to start doing something at least. If not,
Right.
learning about some people all around the world doing something. So
And I think to an extent, going back to the numbers, there are lots of tools that do help us. There's the statistics tool that tells you how many page views you've had. And when there's a news event, you can see the spike in the views is huge. And sometimes we've noticed effects like, for example, we wrote the page for Nathan Phelps. I can't remember who wrote that one now, but
Chris
members of our
Allen.
team. Yeah. And we got that one in a really good shape. Shortly before Fred Phelps died, when he was on his deathbed, I think that was just coming out. So we really pushed to get that one out there. Put the link to Nathan Phelps, his son, on Wikipedia's on his Wikipedia page. And when the huge spike came when his death was announced, you could see the spike on Fred Phelps' page, and you could see the same spike on the same days on Nathan's page, which meant that people were clicking through. So there is a lot of things to back up. People are reading these things, and with some pages it's a slow burn, but the same information, the good information you've inserted that meets all the Wikipedia rules, is going to be on that page for decades, and it's going to affect a lot of lives, maybe in a slow way, but it might save lives. It might save people from wasting their lives believing in wrong things.
Yeah, and in the views, what I preach and what Tim Farley taught me, I learned from him, is that you could write a blog, you could write a blog, you could do a podcast, you could write an article in a magazine, and it's probably going to reach, maybe a few hundred people. And once it's off of your feed on your Facebook feed, or once the podcast is aired, it's unlikely somebody's going to look at it again. It just kind of fades away. Maybe somebody will look at it again. But when you write a Wikipedia page, or when you add things to a Wikipedia page, it can be there for years, if not, like you say, decades. And you may affect millions of people who have read that, whether your single edit that you wrote is the thing that inspires them or not, which probably, I don't know, probably isn't the thing. But what will happen is they will click on other things that you have left in there, and that, so they won't go back and say, oh, it was a Wikipedia page that changed my mind. They'll say, oh, it's something I read online and it led me to like, you know, like what Walkiria was saying about she was led to Phil Plate's blog, and then she was inspired by Phil Plate, and then eventually that got her to GSoW. It's we're the beginning of the cycle, but people may never point to that as being the changing in their lives.
Yes, exactly. I think, like I say, Wikipedia is a nudge. It's not a push. It's not a shout. It's more of a getting you to move on and investigate more or read more or do something.
It's like a trail of breadcrumbs. Sometimes you follow a link, and sometimes you fall down that Wikipedia rabbit hole and you don't know how you ended up looking at the Cinnamon telegram that may have brought Mexico into World War II, but somehow it ended up.
The James Randi page. How did that happen?
I think I found that through Simon singing. Very strange.
You guys are 100% right. Okay, so before I exit and go get my breakfast, what is it? Is there anything that I haven't asked? Do you guys think that's important that we should know, or messages that we should give out, or anything to make sure is on this recording?
You can also find a husband in GSoW.
Yes, I was going to ask you. I didn't know if you guys wanted to go there or not, but I think okay, so here we are. I'm talking to Walkiria and Ryan, and we're a social group on Facebook, and then we made this forum and so on. And the next thing I know, my editors, my two leaders, one in Mexico, one in the UK, in England, they're getting married. I'm like, what the heck? Wait, you guys live, my boyfriend and I live 300 miles apart, and I can't imagine what it would be like to be dating somebody in a different country. I mean, you're not even in the same time zone. Okay, so briefly, what happened here, you guys? I mean, how did GSoW lead you to love and marriage and all that other stuff?
It was my birthday, I suppose, wasn't it? You left a comment in Spanish, Feliz cumpleaños, which I didn't know how to pronounce, let alone understand. I Google translated it and replied in Spanish using Google Translate. She said, "Oh, he speaks Spanish." Add him to the Spanish team. And then said, "Oh, I have to confess, I was cheating." But I think really we're a lot of people with a lot of similar, like-minded opinions. There are lots of people we met and chatted to online who have a great time with a great sense of humor, and we agree on a lot of stuff. We don't have to skirt round issues if we're talking about some subject. There's no subject we can't really talk about between each other, whereas some people have to say, "Oh yeah, we have a marriage, but we never talk about religion, we never talk about whatever politics or whatever." We can talk about all sorts of things, and we're open-minded because we're skeptics. We're very much of the same sort of opinion. It turns out, that seems to be a recipe for good things.
Yeah. So that's, in a way, that's prize from the social aspect of GSoW. You know that the group is safe, and you get this openness. I can talk about anything, and we have even had threads in the forum that say, "Oh, when I was younger, I believed in this kind of nonsense, and I still believe a little bit in this." And then somebody would go, "Oh, but you have." Nobody really bashes you in there.
Yeah.
They don't tell you you're really crazy for believing this. How the hell are you in this group? They're like, "No, look at this and this and this." "Oh yeah, but blah." And you get a real discussion because you're like-minded people, open, and you have to be open to here's proof over this, here are citations, and citations please now. So so that's how our really geeky love story began. We knew that we were like-minded people, and we started talking from there. And also, he was my slave in the forum. I used him to help us organize and stuff. So,
you and your slaves, you're so funny.
Yes.
Another thing that they don't have on regular Wikipedia is slaves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what you mean. That's why we're going the distance. We have minions.
And you can do that. You can talk like that to each other in the forum because we're social and we're you know, to whatever extent you want to be. If you don't want to be social, I suppose you could still join GSoW, but we make it very difficult for you to be, you know, stoic or whatever. You kind of have to show some personality because we're going to try.
If everybody finds a way of talking in there, even if you're a really quiet and reserved person, anybody ends up having an opinion on something. So you end up talking to somebody. And you find really interesting people in there. We're kind of crazy. We all are. So it's very relaxing when you find out that you're not the only crazy person asking for citations in the world.
Yeah, this project's perfect for people like you, Walkiria, who are living so far away from any kind of
Exactly.
skeptics in the pub or anything like that. And Ryan's got them around him all over the place.
Exactly.
Can't wait to get back to England.
I hated him. I hated him for that because you have this and that, and I don't. What's the TAM is the nearest thing I would have, and even that is a little bit prohibitive money wise for me over there. But yeah, it's a resource. It's something you have when you don't have anything around to help you in that area, and you always want to fulfill every little part of your life, and I didn't have that. I didn't have a way of being skeptical in whatever friend group I would have in my life, and that's how I got it in GSoW, and it's been a blast.
And you've got a husband.
And I got a husband in the way.
And I've got a wonderful wife.
And where are you guys living? You're living in both countries?
No. Here in the UK, he brought me here. I didn't want to. Mexico's great.
Yeah, really. 50-degree centigrade, 110, 120 or whatever in the summer. Yeah, you were so reluctant to leave. Yes. Those ridiculous temperatures.
So, but you do spend a lot of time in Mexico, no?
We spent 2 months over there. I spent 2 months joining Walkiria before her visa came through. Basically, she joined me here in January. We've been married since June last year, 2014.
And now I'm living here.
We went over for a second wedding with the Mexican family and friends.
So he got to have a Mexican wedding too.
Yeah.
It's so cute. So there's a love story. I guess that's where we should end it, on a love story. Skeptic love. I always talk about skeptic love and how important that is. And my group, Monterey County Skeptics, and a lot of places that there's been a lot of love. I mean that in a sweet way. You know, there's been a lot of relationships that have started and are still flourishing. And my own as well too, in the skeptic, we met in the skeptic world. And I think that you're exactly right. There's a lot to say for having that common bond of being able to actually have a strong friendship, to be able to converse with someone and not have to keep your mouth shut about religion or politics or you know, medical quackery stuff. We as skeptics kind of default to being able to speak about anything and to not be argumentative, but you know, citations needed kind of persistency.
Exactly.
You know, and if you find a like-minded person who, you know, chemically you're attracted to, using your pheromones or whatever it is, it's a really good thing, because I think that our relationships might end up being a little more lasting, because I think they're based on conversation and common
on so many levels.
Yeah, I think so, instead of maybe being based on maybe, you know, whatever, having a drink at a bar. No, the alcohol's talking, you know. You know, not saying that can't work out too, but you know what I mean. It's more of a conversation and that kind of thing. And I think that's what happened with myself as well. I hope. So anyway, so you guys, it has been so much fun talking to you. I'm so sorry I missed you in LA when we were both in the same kind of area, not necessarily the same zip code, but we were kind of close, but we could not make it together. But I feel like with all the socializing that we're able to do on Facebook and also the forum, that I don't really feel like I missed you, because really you're just as close as, you know, Skype or Google Hangout, which is what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
If we wanted to talk, and I think because we can talk at any time almost, we don't. You have to say, hey, let me call you up. But yeah, so your parting words, anything for GSoW, anybody listening who's maybe thinking, what? Should I join this? I mean, really?
I'd say yes, join it. It'd be great if you have some time you can commit to it, which would be fantastic. But you know, we've had to take some time off getting married and organizing visas and, you know, all the things that are involved with our relationship. So you know, we've had to rein back our editing to some extent until recently. So you know, we're understanding people. We understand people have lives, and it's a great community. Really, it is a really good bunch of people from so many different backgrounds and interests. Some people I definitely disagree with on certain things on the forum, but we don't hold it against each other. We'll talk about it like adults, and we get on and change the world little by little.
Yeah.
And I think we have a great time, and we get a lot of social rewards out of doing what we're doing as well. You know, people pat you on the back, metaphorically, and in my case, I can have a physical pat on the back,
Yeah.
as I have a GSoW editor right next to me.
Yeah, and I'll say like what I used to say when I used ages ago to hike mountains. You would start and be like all excited about it, and when you're midway there, almost getting there, like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? It's taking so long. It's so much effort. But when you get there, and you see what you've done, you're like, ah, I don't know what I was bitching about. So it's just it is a little bit of time. You do have to train, you do have to learn, but the end results are friendships and learning. Really, the learning you're going to get from this is not comparable to anything.
And you can use it for your interests as well. Once you've learned how to edit Wikipedia in a good way, following the rules, you can edit things about your local community, the people you're a fan of, the sports you're interested in, whatever's important in your life. You can make a difference to Wikipedia pages on that as well. You can spot small errors and make small edits. You can make brand new pages, and we teach you all of that stuff on GSoW. Susan will mentor you usually, and we'll all help out, and it's really rewarding thing to do.
And it looks good on your resume. That's another thing I just thought about, you know, that for people who are students, I think that this would be a really great thing to put on your resume that would make you stand out from other people who are just also college grads.
Yeah, and you get to things you pick up and learn can be things you can intersperse into a conversation that someone may ask you something about an interview and say, oh, I read something about it that's fascinating on Wikipedia and followed it up in the journal or something, and you know, that can make a great difference in an interview.
Oh yeah, I can imagine an interview with somebody. I mean, you bring up the word Wikipedia, everybody was like, really? What about that? Tell me, what? You can edit that? You do that? You know, and in some places people are like, wow, that's just cool. Tell me more about that. And I think he would stand out in an interview situation. And plus, like you say, the tools you've learned.
Yeah, a lot of university courses now, they're starting to say for universities, medical schools and all sorts, you should have a course, and part of your coursework that you get marked upon and graded with is about editing Wikipedia. So that, for example, editing medical pages in the same way that doctors are taught, if you with operations, for example, they have watch one, do one, teach one. Writing a Wikipedia page about things enforces your knowledge and reinforces it, and is a very good exercise in those things, and it can actually help improve knowledge in the world about the subject you're interested in. So they're starting to use that in academia, and I think it's a good thing for everybody.
Well, very well said. Okay, well, on that note, I guess we'll just end this. I really miss you guys. I can't wait to see you sometime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should make
share a meal with or
detour
something.
from going to Australia stop by here in the UK and then go back to the US.
I'm trying to get back there. I really hope to go there this summer. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I really want to. So we'll see. I don't know. All right, you guys, send me your audio.
Okay, will do.
Just do
Bye.
it over Dropbox. Thank you so much for taking out the time to talk to me for the hour and 35 minutes and 14 seconds we've been recording. 17 seconds, 18 seconds, 21 seconds. All right.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. I have 15 seconds more.